Last year, I reviewed the sci-fi classic Alien and its sequel Aliens for its anniversary. And now, let's talk about Alien 3. But is it really inferior to the others after it's been 30 years since this came out? Well, let's just find out as I bring you a review of Alien 3 right now. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name's Joel, better known to as the Big D. And this time around, I'm going to review the 1992 sci-fi horror flick Alien 3, released by Fox, directed by David Fincher in his film directorial debut, written by David Giller, Walter Hill, and Larry Ferguson from a story by Vincent Ward. Sigourney Weaver returns as Ellen Ripley, the third installment of the Alien franchise. Now, if you haven't seen my reviews for the first two films, I've just got a playlist fixed up, and you can see my reviews of the first two films in case you might have missed them or see them again. Now, I will plan to review more Alien flicks later on. I know that the fourth one, Alien Resurrection, will be celebrating its 25th anniversary later on this year. Anyway, yes, this was David Fincher's directorial debut. Of course, Fincher had recently done music videos for artists like Rick Springfield, Paula Abdul, and, well, lots of others. He'd also gone to direct for Madonna and Nine Inch Nails as well. Anyway, the film takes place right after the events of Aliens, as Ripley and an alien organism are the only survivors of the colonial marine spaceship Sulaco following an escape pod's crash on a planet housing a penal colony populated by violent male inmates. There's also Charles Dance, Brian Glover, Charles S. Dutton, Ralph Brown, Paul McGann, Danny Webb, Lance Henriksen, Holt McConney, Pete Postlethwaite, and Daniel Edmond in additional roles. Now, the film faced problems during production, including shooting without a script, and various screenwriters and directors were attached. Of course, Fincher was brought in to direct after a proposed version with Vincent Ward as director was canceled during pre-production. The film unfortunately wasn't big at the North American box office. Here, it made over $100 million outside of our territory and received mixed reviews and was regarded as inferior to previous installments. And Fincher has since disowned the film, blaming this for studio interference and deadlines. Well, enough said about that. Let's get into the story. Following the events of Aliens, an egg hatches aboard the colonial marine spaceship Sulaco, releasing a facehugger. A fire starts and the ship's computer launches an escape pod containing Ellen Ripley, the young girl Newt Hicks, and the damaged android Bishop. All four are in cryonic stasis. Scans of the crew's cryotubes show a facehugger attached to one member. The pod crash lands on Fiorina Fury 161, a foundry and maximum security male work correctional facility, inhabited by male inmates with a genetic mutation which gives the afflicted individual a predisposition for antisocial behavior. The inmates recover the crashed pod and its passengers. The same facehugger is seen approaching inmate Thomas Murphy's dog Spike. Ripley is awakened by Clemens, the prison doctor, who informs her that she is the sole survivor. She is warned by the prison warden, Harold Andrews, that her presence may have disruptive effect. Ripley insists that Clemens perform an autopsy on Newt and that her and Hicks' bodies be subsequently burned, secretly fearing that Newt may be carrying an alien embryo. Despite protests from the warden and his assistant Aaron, the autopsy is conducted and no embryo is found. The funeral proceeds in the foundry, attended by the prisoners and presided over by Andrews, with spiritual leader Dylan delivering a speech for the deceased, and their bodies are dropped into the furnace. Elsewhere in the prison, quadrupedal alien bursts from Spike. Ripley finds the damaged Bishop in the prison's garbage dump. Just as she is leaving the area, she is cornered by 4 inmates and almost gang raped. After being saved by Dillon, Ripley returns to infirmary and reactivates Bishop, who, before asking to be permanently shut down, confirms that through scanning ship records that a facehugger was on board and came with them to Fiorina in the escape pod. Growing to full size, the alien kills 3 inmates, Murphy, Boggs, and Raines, and returns outcast prisoner Gullick to his previously psychopathic state. Gullick dubs the creature the Dragon. Ripley informs Andrews of her previous encounter with the xenomorphs and suggests everyone work together to hunt down and kill it. The highly skeptical Andrews does not believe her story and explains that even if she were telling the truth, the facility is without weapons. Their only hope is the rescue ship being sent for Ripley by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. The alien ambushes Ripley and Clemens in the prison infirmary, killing him, and corners Ripley, but then mysteriously spares her and retreats. Ripley then rushes to the cafeteria to warn the others. Andrews insists she is delusional, and orders Aaron to take her back to the infirmary, but the warden himself is dragged into the vents and killed by the monster. Ripley assumes command, rallying the inmates, and proposes they pour flammable toxic waste into the ventilation system and ignite it to flush out the extraterrestrial. However, its intervention causes a premature explosion and several inmates are killed. With Aaron's help, Ripley scans herself using the escape pod's medical equipment and discovers the embryo of an alien queen growing inside her. She also discovers that Weyland-Yutani hopes to turn the aliens into biological weapons. Alright, I'm going to the final act and the ending right now. So you know the procedure like always. You have 5 seconds to sub this video. Go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. If you've seen the movie already, please continue on. Thank you. And here we go. Okay, you've been warned. Deducing that the alien will not kill her because of the embryo she carries, Ripley begs Dillon to kill her. He agrees only if she helps the inmates kill the alien first. They form a plan to lure the alien to the Foundry's molding facility, trap it via a series of closing doors, and drown it in molten lead. The bait and chase plan results in the deaths of all the remaining prisoners except Dillon and Morse. Dillon sacrifices himself to position the alien towards the mold as Morse pours the molten lead onto them. Although the alien is covered in molten metal, it escapes the mold. Ripley activates the fire sprinklers, causing its molten metal exoskeleton to cool rapidly and shatter, blowing it apart. The Weyland-Yutani team arrives, including scientists, heavily armed commandos, and a man who looks identical to Bishop, who explains that he is Bishop's creator. He tries to persuade Ripley to undergo surgery to remove the alien queen embryo, which he claims will be destroyed. Highly skeptical, Ripley refuses and steps back onto a mobile platform, which Morse positions over the furnace. The Weyland-Yutani team shoot Morse in the leg and attempt to stop him. Aaron, believing the Bishop look-alike is an android, strikes the man with a wrench and is shot by the commandos, killing him. Ignoring Bishop's pleas to give them the embryo, Ripley throws herself into the furnace, killing herself just as the infant queen erupts from her. The facilities are closed down. Morse, the sole survivor, is led away as Ripley's final logbook recording from the Nostromo plays in the EV. End of story. So what did I think of Alien 3? Well, I will say it's well, 50-50, good and bad. Now, I can understand why everybody isn't too thrilled with it and what have you. Yes, I do agree. It is repetitive and what have you. So in a way, it is a bit. It is inferior to the original, but I did like the setting though of the film though. But it's just that everyone says that It's just, well, you know, Rotten Tomatoes says it takes admirable risk with franchise mythology, but far too few pay off in a thinly scripted sequel whose stylish visuals aren't enough to enliven a lack of genuine thrills. That's true and what have you. Yeah, and it didn't have much suspense and what have you. According to David Fincher, he said, "No one hated it more than me. To this day, no one hates it more than me." Well, I completely do understand what Fincher's saying. The film opened with a Memorial Day weekend of 23 million, but unfortunately, it lost to Lethal Weapon 3, which came out at the same time. Yes, which of course I've already reviewed that. The film went on, despite it didn't do as well as its predecessor, it went on to make 159 million internationally, as it only made a mere 55 million and was considered a bit of a failure. Anyway, now of our cast, I feel like Sigourney Weaver's the only one that I think really saves this film. She approved of one of the one of the people who worked on the film's work and signed on, but demanded a larger salary of $4 to $5 million plus co-producing credit. She also requested that the action was not to rely on guns. Yeah, that is kind of a big negative I do have with this film. No guns in this? Yeah. But again, I do have a soft spot for this film, but for certain reasons. It's not that I don't hate the film and what have you. It could have just used a little bit more good action, what have you. However, years later, after a decade later, in 2003, a revised version of the film known as the Assembly Cut was released without Fincher's involvement and received a much better reception. I haven't seen that version though, but if I do happen to encounter it, I will certainly look into it and see if it's any better. Charles S. Dutton plays Dylan, who isn't too bad. Charles Dance plays Clemens. Brian Glover plays Harold Andrews. Ralph Brown plays Francis Aaron. Walter Golick is played by Paul McGann. And Danny Webb plays Robert Morris. Lance Henriksen voices the Bishop android. And Tom Woodruff Jr. plays the alien known as Dragon. So anyway, yeah. And Pete Postlethwaite plays David. But there's many others in what have you. Too many to mention, though. But anyway, oh yeah, and Elliot Golenthal does the score, which I think is pretty good. There is a big surprise, though, if you probably didn't know, that this was a big surprise when it comes close to the last bit of the 20th Century Fox, well, now 20th Century Studios fanfare. They hold out the last number before the last few are played, so we kind of hear in a suspenseful way as the logo soon fades out. Yeah, that was a big surprise. We never had that much of a surprising ending to a Fox fanfare until maybe years later when they added X-Men music at the last note on the fanfare for X-Men Days of Future Past. So anyway, that's it. Alien 3, it's a mixed bag. But would I recommend it? I'd say, just to be on the safe side, give it a one-time watch. And if you're not satisfied, don't borrow it again. If you do happen to have seen the Assembly Cut, let me know if that's any better. Because Because again, if I happen to encounter it one day, I will certainly look into it. And maybe, just maybe, mind you, it might be better. Anyway, that's going to do it. Let me know what your thoughts are on Alien 3. Do you like it or do you hate it? You be the judge. Leave a comment in the comment section below. If you like the video, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Join me next time as I continue my re-reviews of Star Wars, as we are not too far away from the 45th anniversary of the original Star Wars, as I re-review Solo, a Star Wars story from 2018. Now, if you like this video, consider checking out these last few vids I have done. In the upper left-hand corner is my recent spoiler-free review of the new film adaptation of Stephen King's Firestarter. In the upper right-hand corner is the spoiler-free review I did for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, or if you want something else, you can go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my re-review of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.